Good evening, Facebook friends. Here we go again, Janine LaRue, and here we are with LaRuelist Cafe. As most of you know, I am a political animal. I just absolutely love it when women talk about electing women. And I don't want the guys to get a little dismayed tonight because I know sometimes we try to figure out, is it always going to be about the woman? And it's not always about the woman. But I loved seeing women get involved in public office. I started as an elected official back in the 70s, and I was in my 20s. I didn't know a thing about politics. I didn't know too much about government. I was a high school English teacher, and I really wasn't. I was part of the movement of the 60s where we were going to do everything from the outside of the establishment. We weren't joining up with the establishment. And then all of a sudden, people asked me, think about running for public office. And it really was a joke that I would think about running for public office. I didn't have time for it, but they kept harassing me. Finally, they gave me the petition, and I said, okay, I will run for public office. And I ran for the school board. And in that town, that time, it was only 4% Black. So a lot of the Blacks supported me in my effort. But 4% of anything, you still have 96% that you got to deal with. And I won by a landslide. And I won't say that I won by a landslide. We won. It was a local school board. I was only in my 20s. And the first woman, the first person of color, and the youngest person to win public office in that town, Winslow Township, New Jersey. So since then, now I'm an older lady. I'm 70 years old, almost 71. I've been involved in public life for about 50 years now. And we're still looking at first. We're looking at the first female vice president, the first person of color vice president, first Asian, first Black. And it's just so exciting with these firsts. And so this group, who they're coming on tonight, and they're going to talk about women, and they're going to talk about celebrating the first, and they're going to talk about what they do as far as getting women elected to public office. But what our goal is that one day we can say there are no more firsts, that it's just that we have people who are qualified running for public office, and they are doing it. So without further ado, this group is called Elect Women New Jersey. They have had an amazing track record, just founded in 2020. And I guess everything's founded during the pandemic. So what we're doing is we are changing the world during a pandemic, and they certainly changed a lot of stuff here in the state of New Jersey in this last election. So we're going to bring them on one by one, and well, I guess we'll just bring them on all at the same time. So we have Tricia McGuire. How are you doing, Tricia?
I'm very well. Thank you for having us tonight, Janine.
Absolutely. And we have Carrie Kennedy.
Hi, Janine. Thanks.
Carrie?
Yeah, we're great. Thank you.
And then we have Linda Pangroders. Did I do it right? Oh, I think you're still muted.
I thought I got over that. Thank you so much. Linda Pangroders is correct.
I am so
Thanks for
excited.
having
So
us.
I actually did it. So, ladies, thank you for coming on this evening because you have a big week coming up. But I want to first talk about the big year that you've had. And if we can start with you, Tricia, tell us about this organization, Elect Women New Jersey.
Sure. So we're a group of women who've all run for public office, and we just know how hard it is to raise money. And after our experiences, we were introduced to one another, and we thought, you know what, let's go ahead and form an organization that makes it easier for women to raise money. When you hear from Carrie, you'll hear her amazing background and her experience in doing so. We got together, of course, as we filed the paperwork. The state of New Jersey did shut down because of the pandemic, as you referenced. So we had some obstacles to face as we got ourselves organized, but we were able to launch in August. And we were able to endorse 20 women this year. We're really proud of our first year results. Of those 20 women, we had 75% win rate. And we're just going to look to raise enough money to endorse more women and get more women elected to the state of New Jersey local offices in the year of 2021.
Oh, so as I recall, because I actually attended your kickoff, and let me tell you, I was so freaking impressed. Because it seems as though you had, as one of your special guests, the woman who just could put Donald Trump in jail.
Yes.
And I just thought it was so amazing. So, Carrie, tell us, is this a partisan group or are you nonpartisan? Tell us about it.
So Elect Women New Jersey was founded to support Democratic women. So we're focused on women, we're focused on Democrats, and we are really trying to increase the diversity and the numbers of women in local elected office. Elect Women New Jersey is the second PAC that I founded. So 10 years ago, when I was working in Afghanistan, training women who were running for parliament, 69 of those women were running for the first time to be in parliament, and many of them had death threats against them. When the election was over, 28% of women won seats in that parliament, even at the threat of death. And that led me really to reflect on why are we in the United States so low in representation compared to Afghanistan, where women were literally running at the threat of death. We had 21% in 2010 compared to their 28%. And I came back and I was living in Philadelphia at the time and founded Represent PAC, which was a organization that funded women at the state level. And then, as Tricia said, moved back to New Jersey, my home state. The home state always pulls you back. A few years ago, Lynn and I ran together for local office. I served for a few months in an appointed position, and the three of us met and said, the numbers in New Jersey are really dismal. They haven't moved as much as we have seen the numbers rise in a national office. They're stagnant, and we need to do something to shake that up. We also really decided that local office was critical, both to build the bench and to get more diverse women to run. Janine, you're a perfect example. Women, you said that you had to be asked and asked and asked to run. We know that we have to really get out and encourage women to run, ask them to run 6 or 7 times. There is that joke, or that actually the reality that a man wakes up and says, I'm going to be a congressperson, and a woman has to be asked a number of times. And that's changing, but there still is statistically, women are less likely to think that they should run for office, or less likely to think that they're qualified. And that's a real problem. So we're trying to address that. We're funding women. Lack of funding is a structural barrier for women to run. And we're creating a network to get more women to know that they're capable, that they should run, and that they're going to have a strong support, the support of Elect Women New Jersey behind them in their race and as they serve in elected office.
Thank you. That really, and I know that you do have to continue to ask women to run. And we had a work group on harassment of women who want to step into politics, whether they want to be candidates or whether they are lobbyists or whatever. And that's one of the things that I'm concerned about, is that as women step up as candidates, we've got to make sure that we're there to give them all the tools, not just the money, but the tools that they need to know that they don't have to take all of the crazy misogynistic things that occur as they're campaigning for an office. Lynn, what do you think about that? Do you have any comment on that?
I do. So I ran for office with Carrie in our town here, and there was so much hateful messaging coming from the opposite side, enough that women who have never had experience running for office would just curl up in their shell. And we at Elect Women New Jersey really want to get women to talk to each other while they're running for office, and get them to commiserate with each other. And we're forming a group of women who will be a support group, basically. Yeah.
Great. And can you tell me about that the kickoff that you had? I really would like the audience to know about the folks you had and the topics that were covered. Who wants to take that? All right, let's go.
Carrie
You can go.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, I'll go. So we had the Attorney General, Letitia James, or Tish James, kick it off, and she is an amazing, dynamic speaker. As I'm sure if you have seen her in the news, you would know she's just a wonderful speaker. The Lieutenant Governor was signed on to speak and couldn't join us, but is really supportive of our efforts. We also had the founders, the three of us and the founders, and we had the president of Emerge America. And Emerge America is an organization that supports women in training. So Elect Women New Jersey, we're funding women. We're our political action committee. We are going to raise the money to invest in women through funding and then creating this supportive network. And then Emerge gives them training and other opportunities. And the speaker was Ashante Golar. She's the president of Emerge America. It's a really dynamic, energizing event. It was very well attended. And we felt from the energy and that first kickoff that what we're doing is really needed in New Jersey and that people appreciate it. We also highlighted in that meeting, and maybe after this, Tricia can talk about this. We highlighted in this meeting that, and I'm Carrie Kennedy. This is, if that the name tag right there says Tricia McGuire, but we're both Irish redheads, so it's very easy to mix us up. Right? We also kicked off that in our first fundraiser, we had really highlighted investing in Black women. So having followed the protests following the killing of George Floyd this summer, we really felt that as a starting pack, we wanted to increase the amount of money that we give to women of color and specifically Black women. And I'll let Tricia or Lynn talk about that, but we did invest, double the investment out of the 20 endorsed candidates that we supported, we gave Black women double the investment that we gave other women. So we felt really good about that. We announced that we were going to do that as well in the kickoff.
Great, great. And now I have seen the lineup of the women who you endorsed and they won. I'd like you, Tricia, let's talk about what the profile of those women look like.
Sure. So we worked really hard to make sure we were living our mission. We are mission driven. We are building an anti-racist feminist organization, and we're making sure we're lifting up the voices of women that not necessarily look like me or other people that are on our board. Let me rephrase that. We're bringing people onto our board that just reflect what the state of New Jersey looks like. So in our first class, we were able to celebrate fantastic results. We were able to endorse 20 women from across the state of New Jersey. We reached into 13 counties, which was no small feat during a pandemic to, launch during that type of a environment and make all our initial outreach through Zoom meetings instead of in person. Again, we endorsed 20 women. We had 75% win. And from that, 60% of our endorsed women who won identify as as Black, Latina, South Asian, or LGBTQ+. And specifically to tie back into what Carrie was referring to, when we launched actually on my birthday, which was in June, was a soft launch. And we had a fundraiser for my birthday simply through Facebook, and every dollar raised just through a Facebook post went directly to be earmarked for Black women that we would endorse running for our local offices. And in just 24 hours, we raised over $3,000. And we had another dedicated fundraiser where we were able to raise more money that we held in an account that was just for Black women. And so what we were able to do was invest $12,000 to our general population of women that were endorsed by us, but for our Black women, we were able to double their funds by an additional $4,000. So the results of that were fantastic. This week we'll be celebrating our historic wins at a Valentine's Day event that you will be our keynote speaker at Janine. And so we are celebrating the wins of Judy Ward, who is the first woman mayor in Pleasantville and the first Black woman mayor in all of Atlantic County. We have Shelley Bell, who won as the first Black woman in Montgomery Township. We have Smita Nadia Hussain, who is the first woman and Bangladeshi woman to win a seat for the Board of Ed in the whole state of New Jersey. Tammy Williams is the first Black woman to win a council seat in West Orange. And Gina LaPlaca was elected to council, but has now been elected by her cohorts to serve as mayor for the very first female majority council in her town of Lambertville. So we've been doing amazing work, we believe, to lift up the voices of women of the state of New Jersey. And we're really excited to celebrate our historic wins this Thursday at our Galentine's Day event.
You women are absolutely amazing. And it always makes me feel so good to see that women, whether you are a woman of color or not, you understand that where we sit and where we play, it should look like the whole state of where we are. And that's the thing that I love about what you've done with this organization. What do you see in the future? I mean, where are we headed beyond this election? Because when you look at what happened all across this country, and many of us held our breath, we were hoping that there would be a change in direction at the national level. And while men stepped up, women really stepped up to the plate, particularly Black women stepped up to the plate, but women stepped up to the plate. Lynn, where are we headed in the future? What do you see for this organization moving forward?
For Elect Women New Jersey, I would love to see us across the state in all counties getting women elected, and maybe even doing something federally someday. But my main goal is to get more women elected in New Jersey, really.
And we can say that we are on a trajectory. So if we endorse 20 women this year, so we started right before the elections in November. What we hope for this year and the coming years is to increase, is to raise by next year $100,000 and to have 3 endorsement cycles. So we would have an endorsement cycle right after the primary. We would have an endorsement cycle at the end of the summer around August or September. And then knowing that we will meet our fundraising goals, we could have a third endorsement to help support people who really might need that extra investment to get them over in a tight race. And that's something that in the first PAC that I started Represent, we are on a similar trajectory. That Represent now supports, raises about $500,000 a year and gives out hundreds of endorsements a year. And we're following a similar path with aspirations to raise a similar amount of money in 5 to 7 years. And given the energy that we're seeing from supporters around the state, we feel like this is a very realistic option for us. As Linda said, we also want to help women. We want to increase the power of women donors. We want more women to be writing checks for women. So we're going to figure out ways to get more women together to support other women who are running for office. And there's options that we'll explore as the years go on.
And so that our viewers understand, because sometimes when women watch shows like this, they'll say, oh, I don't think that I can actually run for the Senate, or I can't run for Congress. We're talking about locally elected seats, are we not, Tricia?
Yes.
That's what we're talking about.
That's right. Yes.
Yes.
So I'm hoping that our viewers out there, I mean, we have a lot of work yet to do in this country. And all politics, I don't care how you look at it, all politics is absolutely local. And the fact that you, Kerry, would see something in Afghanistan that you saw, and to see the determination of women, even with death threats, decide that they were going to step out and do it anyway. And that you women came back here to our dear Garden State and said, we believe that we can change the landscape. I would just hope that, and I was going to ask you, electwomeninj.com or is it .org?
.com.
It's .com. So I would like to actually, there we go, electwomeninj.com. All right. So I would like women to please reach out to you. And if they're interested in running for office, where do they go? Tell us what they would need to do immediately.
They can go to our website and contact us at any point or through our Facebook page. A few times a year, we will be pushing out these endorsement applications. So right after the primary, we will do as wide a distribution as possible, but they should be going, if they follow us on Facebook, that's the best place to follow us. Then they will see the release of endorsement applications. They'll see events that are coming up. And we would love for women, join the events, listen in, hear from other women's. The Galentine's Day event on Thursday is a great example. Women who decided to run for school board, run for council, because they saw something in their community that they wanted to change. And they know, as being a mom, being a business owner, being a teacher, being a community member, they had a valuable voice and something to offer and contribute to their community. We want women to hear all of the amazing things that the women that we endorsed are doing, and to know that they too can do it. And the more they see that, I think the more it becomes, hey, I can do that. I should run for school board. And we all need to be out asking them. So if they like us, reach out or send us an email. We'll ask them to run for office at least once or twice. And we'll get that process started.
Janine,
Go ahead, Tricia.
I was just going to say, in addition to asking them to run for office, one of the incidental, wonderful rewards that has come from being out there is the phone calls that I'm getting from women right now who are interested in running for office. So our primary focus is to hunker down and help women to raise money, but we have to get them ready to run so that they, that money can go somewhere. So I've spent a significant amount of time, and I'm very happy about that, in the last 3 weeks, meeting with women, talking to them about how they get engaged with their local community Democratic clubs. Who do they reach out to? What sort of paperwork and petitioning might they or might they not need for the role that they're seeking? If they're laying the groundwork, how do you get to be maybe a committee person in your municipality and get to know your muni chair and then your county chair? A little bit of educating about how local politics work so that you feel more comfortable when you do step into the arena.
One of the things I would like to say, and because as you know, I'm involved with a lot of women's groups, and particularly women's political action groups. And I had a wonderful conversation with Tricia because, as many of you know, we have Women's Political Caucus here in New Jersey, and that focuses on women running for state office. We are trying to get a lot of women elected to state offices. We have the Center for American Women in Politics, Debbie Walsh, and they have the Ready to Run classes that they sponsor throughout the year. We have Emerge New Jersey, and we have Elect Women New Jersey. We all, and I wanted to get this point across to the women and the men who are out there. And some of you guys, you have daughters where you're saying to them, you have so much to say about what you don't like, what's going on in the world. Why don't you get your name on the ballot and change things? And so I wanted folks who are out there, they're looking at this program tonight, understand none of us are competing with each other. We are all playing very nicely in the sandbox with each other. And I think sometimes, you look at situations that look like they're a challenge and you turn them into an opportunity. Now that we know we're all on lockdown with Zoom, we can just kind of do a virtual thing and get to know each other better that way to see how we can work on more projects together. So I thought that it was important to say that, but I am just so amazed that a group of you will make it clear of this is our mission. We're about women running and winning local offices, county offices. We are about making sure there is diversity for women who are sitting and governing different areas in our state. And we are not ashamed to say we are a Democratic, partisan group. So I applaud you for that. And I thank you so much for coming on. I look forward to seeing you Thursday. As you know, I've already told Trisha I'm having my second vaccine shot on Thursday.
Yeah.
So I hope
Perfect.
that I'm able to sit up straight and folks see exactly what's going on with me. But I'm excited for you. I'm very supportive of what you're doing. Let's stay in touch, all three of you, Trisha, Linda, Carrie. You're just amazing women, and I am impressed at what you have been able to do so far. Any parting words that you want to say to anyone? I'm going to first start with you, Linda. Anything you want to say?
Run for office. If you're watching and you're a woman, run for office. Reach out to us, and we'll help you. Yeah. And thank you so much for having us on.
Absolutely. Carrie.
And for us to reach gender parity at the rate of progress we're making, it would take us 190 years. So I love the fact that you said we're all working together. We could have 100 times the groups that we currently have and still not see the progress we want to see unless we're really committed to changing our democracy and ensuring that the democracy that we have, the women or the people that we put forward to run for office and support are representative of our communities, our state, and of our country. So please, write a check, ask women to run, ask diverse women to run, and fund them. Write a check to women.
Yes.
Exactly. And that writing a check is very, very important. We're behind the boys when it comes to putting our money where our mouth is. And we've got to learn to do that more often. Trisha, any parting words you want to give?
It's hard always to follow Carrie. She's very well-versed and pretty much summed it up. The only addition I might add is sometimes it feels intimidating to put your name on a ballot, or sometimes it's not within your means to make a donation of any amount. However, it's not just about our treasure. Sometimes it's about our time and our talent. So please, ladies who are interested in making a difference across the state, reach out to other women who are running and make an effort to volunteer and donate your time and your talent to help other women to achieve their goals. And I just guarantee you'll feel very rewarded at the end of that experience.
Rewarded is the word. It's the word of the day. And as I said, when I opened this show up, when I stepped into the arena and ran for office, it was very intimidating for me. I was a mom of 2 kids, and then had state guardianship of a sister who I raised as my daughter, and had 3 stepchildren. So that was 6 kids.
Oh my goodness.
And it really was kind of funny. A teacher, I had everything except the maid, where we had a dog that ran away, so we were the Brady Bunch without the maid. And then I decided, okay, I'm going to run for public office. And there were nights I would ask myself, what am I doing this for? But when you check the record of what I did down in Winslow Township, I believed in organizing labor, the labor movement, and the employees were just, I felt they were being so abused. If they put somebody's sign on, and I didn't care if they put my opponent's sign on the lawn, and I won overwhelmingly because I ultimately was on council for 9 years. I didn't think that they should be fired just because they chose to put my opponent's sign on the lawn. But that was happening. They had no union. It was crazy. And so they would call me after work, and they would say, Councilwoman, I've got to tell you what happened to me today. Finally, I said to them, organize, get a union, bring a union here, kick our butts, make us do what's right. And they were like, no, we can't bring in a union. I'm like, why not? And finally, they got the courage and they organized. They brought in a union. And you know what happened? The elected officials acted better. They had to bring a union in to make that statement. I remember that they had said, the guys on council said, no woman will ever serve on our police force. And they would always find a way not to have a woman. They would pass the physical. They would pass the the aptitude, but they couldn't pass the psychological test. I'm like, you know what? This is a bunch of crap. They're passing it. So I told this one young lady, I told her to sue us. She had tried, I mean, she had passed the state police physical. She had passed everything. She wanted to work for her township, and she just couldn't get in. So I told her, I said, sue us. And she said, sue the township? Yes, sue us. And she said, I don't think I want to do that. I said, you're qualified. It's discrimination. And I actually talked with our folks in our executive session, my colleagues on council, and I told them, I told her to sue us. Either we work this out, and you know what they decided to do? Because if she had sued us, she would have won. They decided that we would pay for half for the psychiatric exam, and she would pay for half, and we would mutually agree who the psychiatrist would be. She passed with flying colors. And she became the first policer. In fact, I love her. I say her name a lot now, LaMonica Cross. She's still, I think she's even in the Attorney General's office now. But she was the first police officer, female police officer for Winslow Township. It took her years to be
Good for
able to
you.
do that. And I remember that. I remember that we were home, me and my then husband, and we looked outside and his car was missing. And he said, somebody stolen my car. And I said, really? So I was on council, I called 911. And when I opened the door, there was the woman standing in my door. And she says, may I help you, ma'am? And she had her jacket, you know, she was all in uniform and had her little hat under her arm. And I just cried, you know. I think she thought I was crying because the car was stolen. I was crying because I was so excited. And I'm like, am I your first one? She said, yeah, almost, Miss LaRue. And she said, we'll get your car. And they got the car back. But just things like that. Women make a difference because we do look at things very, very differently. And I just want you women, keep doing what you're doing. You made a huge difference in November 2020. Let's see what kind of good trouble we can get into in November of 2021. Have a good one, and thank you for coming on to LaRuelist Cafe.
Thank you.
Thank you, Janine. Thank you so much.
So there you got it, folks. We had a good time tonight. Keep sharing this video around all over your Facebook pages. Who knows? We may have the next Kamala Harris that may come out of this whole venture. Or we may have someone, a female, who will actually become the president of these United States of America. Thank you for signing on. Always glad to have you stepping into the cafe, LaRuelist Cafe. Have a wonderful evening.